Welcome back to The Healed Trader, everyone. This is episode 2, and it's called What is Success to You Now? So last week, me and Dave, we talked about chasing the money, called it more money, more problems, discussed, there's a lot more to life than just making money. It's not going to bring you happiness, and the various kind of ways we've come to terms with that, and what we've realized is fulfilling, and trying to cultivate passions and things like that. But like kind of leading on from that discussion, people talk about success, and how do you define success? So what do you reckon, Dave? What's your nowadays? What is your definition of success?
God, that's a big topic, right? I think the first thing I'd say on success and which kind of changed in how I view it is that I don't think it's an end point. Like it's not a destination that you're going to reach.
Yeah.
Right.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Like it's a journey, and that in itself that's quite a profound thing to say, right? Because if there's no end point that we're trying to reach of success, if there's no quantitative thing that we can tick to go, right, we are now successful, then what are we all doing? Like, what are we all, why are we all running the hamster wheel trying to achieve?
Because you can't measure it, basically. Right?
You can't measure it. So it's this kind of like infinite game that we're playing, right, where there is no end to it. But that in itself, when I think about that, it's quite a freeing sort of thing, because it's like, okay, like I can kind of settle into, right, there's no end point that I'm like struggling to reach. The struggle, if you want to call it a struggle, is like every day. Like, what am I doing every day? And if there's no kind of end point where I hit success, then I need to define success in every day of how I live my life.
That's right. So then the next thing would be then, because I totally agree with everything you're saying, right? It's more a journey than a destination, and everyone has their own journey, right? Every human being, what they define as a successful day, as a day that was worth living, can be completely different from the next person.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a great quote, and I'll try and get this right. I don't know if you've read Deepak Chopra's 7 Spiritual Secrets of Success. And he says in it, I'll try and get this right because it's brilliant. He says, we are all pure consciousness, pure potential, seeking expression from the unmanifest to the manifest, right? So take that in. We're pure unconsciousness, pure potential, seeking expression from the unmanifest to the manifest. So when I think about what is success, for me, it's living each moment trying to manifest that potential, that pure potential that's within all of us, to be like that creative expression of who we are, to be living that in each moment. That to me is success, because we talk about fulfillment. I think when you're someone who's living in that creative expression of yourself and being true to yourself and living that out in each and every moment, like, that's a successful person. That's a successful person to me. And because within that, like, success is a vector, right? There's no like one thing, and there's different aspects of our lives, from career, money, family, health. There's all these different aspects, and in all of them, we have this kind of unlimited potential to that we can kind of express ourselves, within those areas of our lives. And the idea being that we're never gonna hit this perfect endpoint, right? Say an example is like, say you're looking to get like really in shape, like really ripped, or lose a load of weight, or what have you, right? And you do the diet, you hit the gym, and then you get to that kind of target level. It's not like you can then go, all right, well, that's it now, I'm done, like, stop. And then because then if you go and then put all the weight back on, like, were you successful? At what point were you successful, and where did? But it's actually the pursuit of that. That's the kind of success, if you like, and kind of doing all the right things. And it's kind of like continuously living in pursuit of a worthy goal that expresses like your potential. If that sounds a little bit complicated, but does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way I sort of think about it is, you know, what are the things that make me feel like my day was worthwhile? And I think a lot of the time it boils down to, what did I do for other people, right? Whether it's my kids, whether it's my partner, whether it's, you know, my clients, the people who I teach, you know? Because if we're in a space where we're helping others, right, then it's really easy to feel like our day was worth a while, right? Like what we did, we achieved something, right? Like we actually made someone else's life better in some way. And so when we stop focusing on our own little bubble, right? And what do we have to do within our own little bubble to be successful? And we just give out our energy to try and help other people, then it becomes so far easier, I think, to feel like you're a success, you know?
Yeah. And the idea about it not being this end like destination, like, and it being this continuous thing, like I just think that it's such a different mindset, and that's where, you know, these ideas around, you know, you should celebrate the little wins every day. You know, what did I do today that was good, and then kind of reflect on that and go, what did I do that wasn't so good, and instead of beating yourself up about it, can I do it better tomorrow? And then each day becomes, you build real like good momentum throughout your life that way, because then each day becomes, I did this really well today. This wasn't so good, but we'll correct that tomorrow, and tomorrow we go again and we go again. But every day you're going to be doing that, right? And there's never going to be, right, I've done it now, right, that's it.
Yeah, people talk about gratitude and say like making gratitude a daily practice really helps, right? And I think it's like really easy to fall out of that habit. You know, you might do it for a day or two and then you forget and you get caught up in your life and your work and your responsibilities, right? But if you're living in a way where it's actually quite easy to identify what you're grateful for, right? Then that, I think that practice becomes just easier, more sustainable, and it clearly helps you be a happier person, right? Because, like I say, you're literally identifying what you're grateful for every day. And like you said, when there's things that didn't go so well, you don't have to beat yourself up about it, because that's the whole point. Identifying those, and you know, you can even be grateful for your challenges. You can be grateful that you know, when hard things happen in your life, for example, right? If you're the sort of person who gets down and depressed about it and can't motivate yourself to grow from the experience, then it will be difficult to be grateful, right? But if you take your challenges and you say, well, how can I learn from this? This is not at all what I wanted to happen, but this curveball has been thrown at me. Is there something I can do to learn and grow from that? And if there is, then I should be grateful that this thing happened to me. Because I may not have learned that had it not.
But like your point about life throwing you curveballs, I think most of the curveballs actually come because, again, we have a picture in our minds of what success looks like, and we have this this idea of how everything should be. And then when you start doing that and life starts to deliver something that looks different to that, then it feels like a curveball. Then it's like, oh, hang on, I was meant to be here at this point in my life, or I wasn't meant to lose that job, or, you know, I wasn't meant to lose that house, or all those things. And it starts to become a feeling of failure rather than kind of being open to like exploring the moment. And again, if you think of this as being this kind of like infinite game that I'm playing, like, okay, now what do I do now? Now this set of cards that I've been dealt with, how am I going to play this? And how in this moment am I going to express the best of what's in me in this moment and keep living that way? Because as well, like and what I like about this sort of continual thing, this theme of like expressing our sort of full potentiality within each moment, is because that potentiality will change and shift throughout time. Like with each point we're at within our lives, you know, we have new information, we have new knowledge, we have new skills. So then what becomes possible for us is going to change like over time, throughout time. So like in each moment, it's an opportunity, right, to kind of like dig within yourself and go, right, how can I be like bring the best of myself to this moment, whatever, you know, whether it's something I wanted to happen or didn't want to happen, what within me now, what's this trying to get out of me, what is this situation trying to get out of me, and this is why I think the idea of success, particularly like in a bank, it's so like the worst thing you can ever do is compare yourself to anyone else, right? And in a bank, it's such a numbers thing, right? You know, and that's
all they do, compare people,
compare
right?
people by numbers. He earns more than me. He must be better than me. He's more successful than me. He's an MD. I'm not an MD yet. He must be. He's more successful than me, right?
He's going to get a bigger bonus. Who's
like,
going to get the biggest bonus?
Yeah, but like for some people, like, you know, for some people, their daily challenges, like just being able to get out of bed in the morning, and get themselves dressed is kind of successful, given some, like, you know, some physical challenges someone might have. No, I actually think about it with my children, and actually when you think of success, when you think about how you would define it for your children, and like I say to both of mine, like look, I don't care like how well you do at school or in the sports that you're doing or the drama that you like, whatever. I don't really care the level you achieve. What I care about is you sort of giving it everything, and but more like expressing yourself through it. Now, if you've got two children, one's naturally smart, and actually this is probably a really good way of thinking about it. If one's naturally very smart, right, and with a bit of work could be like the straight A student, but they're coasting in with B's and they're not really doing a lot, right? They're not bringing themselves every day into school and expressing like that full potentiality, and they're coasting through and getting B's. But you've got the other child who maybe struggles a bit more, and they're busting it and they're giving it everything and expressing everything, and they're getting C's. Which one's more successful in that? For me, it's the one who's hitting the C's, and it's like, do you know what? Like, you can't base success based on these things, because we're all starting from different starting points. So therefore it can't be a quantitative thing that I can tick off and go, that's going to determine successful.
Yeah,
it's got to be this continuous
on the parenting
process.
point. I mean, it's you got to praise the process rather than the outcome, right? So in that example you described, the kid who got C's, the process, you know, that kid was working really hard and, like you said, expressing themselves and trying their best, versus the other one just being a bit lazy and couldn't be bothered. So yeah, like that's always the right approach, I think, with kids. Like you don't want to pressure them to, you don't want to dictate to them what the outcome has to be. You just want to teach them and show them what the process is and how they can try their best and how they can grow and how they can learn, and try and cultivate a kind of love for learning, basically. But then what actually happens is going to be a function of, you know, what is their potential. Some kids are going to be great at one thing, some are going to be great at something else, right?
Yeah. And like, I think as well, like it sounds quite, I don't want to sound like light and fluffy to say this, like, but like if I again think of like my two kids and like what I'd want for them, like in terms of them being successful, like happiness is the ultimate thing, right? For them to be happy and living that life of passion, right? Be living in their passion and that you know, being able to express themselves. And I always kind of think like, if one of them I turned up and they've made it as the lawyer or whatever, and they're earning loads of money and they've got the big house and what have you, and I turn up and I can see in their face they're desperately unhappy. They've hit all the targets, but they're unhappy. And yet I see the other one who's let's say, and again, I'm romanticizing this obviously, but like, you know, say that they want to make it as a singer and they're busking on the streets and they've, you know, they're working in a bar at night, but you see that passion and that kind of
joy,
positive expectation and joy about them. Like, I'd kind of go, yeah, like you're kind of more successful. And once you want them to get there, and like, you know, it's kind of, that's why I think it just kind of highlights the point that success isn't about an amount of money in the bank or a level that you achieve in your career. They're all great things, but they're relative to where we are. But the fact that it's a continual game and there's no end point, therefore it becomes, well then, if there isn't an end point that determines success for me, and it's about how I live my life every day, then shit, I have to start making some changes about, what is, what are, and if it's about working towards a worthy goal, what is that worthy goal in my mind?
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and this echoes a little bit about what we spoke about in the last episode. But the trouble is, a lot of people who are hearing this are probably like, yeah, I'm not loving what I do. I would love to do something that I'm passionate about. A, I'm not sure what that is, and B, I haven't got the time, and C, when I say I haven't got the time, I'm busy because I have to work, because I have to earn a living, because the cost of living just did that in the last few years. So people are kind of stuck in this trap where they can't see like how they get out of this cycle where, yes, maybe they went down the wrong path and they understand it now, but like they've still got to pay their bills, right? So what would you say to someone who has to pay their bills, right? Recognizes that what they're doing doesn't make them happy, but they can't just leave that job. So what are the baby steps? What are the incremental steps people can make to try and achieve that real success where they feel like they want to get out of bed in the morning and do what they're doing, right? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and it is like the hard thing, right? And we spoke like money and stuff is important, and we've all got to live. I think like, it's not like go give up your job. I think it's more about you go, right, what are the things I like to do, and what makes me, what I'm excited about. Like for example, we're doing this podcast, right? Mm-hmm. And we kind of, it's not our day job, it's not what we're doing. It's like, just start doing something in the direction of what you want. So then that your career becomes maybe strategically, something that's going to help you ultimately get there. But again, I think there's a lot of kind of happiness and fulfillment if your career is more about a stepping stone towards, allow me to go and do the other things that I want to do, rather than being wrapped up in like, this defines me as being a successful person or not. So it's kind of, you need to start doing something. You need to start putting building blocks in place and finding the time and making the time. I mean, people say you don't have time. I always call like BS on that, because I'm like, let me, give me your phone. Let me check your screen time on your phone. I bet it's a lot. What did you watch on TV last night? Like, if you're really passionate about doing something else, we can find those windows, right, of time.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is true. I mean, the reason we're having this conversation is because in the last year and a half, I started spending hours watching various types of content to self-reflect and analyze and become more conscious about various things, right? And then that kind of unlocked an interest and passion for me. And I thought we could have good conversations about this stuff that actually people might want to listen to. And, whether 10 people listen or whether 10 million people listen, I still enjoy having the conversation and doing it. And it actually, I find it like a form of therapy, a form of journaling, whatever it is, right? And like you say, it is successful. But if no one watches this, it's still successful, because we got to have this conversation and we got to reflect on what we've learned and discuss it and understand it better in our own brains. And hopefully that helps us in our lives, right?
Yeah. And then like, there's a lot of it is like, becomes about why. Why do you do something? Not what, not the what, not the outcome. It's like the why of why I'm doing this. And like for us, we said partly it kind of helps, it's our own therapy, if you like, and understand our own journey. And then also would like to, if one person like listens to this and it just opens up a little bit of space in them to kind of see life a little bit differently, to give them a level of like hope and, like optimism around their situation and what they can do, then it's kind of been worth it, right? It doesn't need to be like a million viewers and all that success. That would be nice to have. But I think when you start in your life with that why, then everything can become again, you can achieve these success marks along the way. One person says, I really enjoyed that, like it really helped me, helped in some way, then that's a real tick the box. If it's like, right, this is rubbish until we get a million like viewers, you're going to be constantly happy, because then when you get to a million, right, well, we need 10 million now. Right, and then it's like there's never going to be a feeling of success around it. And the other thing I'd say on success is, I realise, like, I think a lot of people, like, we don't need to do, or achieve anything, right? Like to be enough and to be worthy, right? I think there's a lot of people who feel this sense of like they don't feel worthy, and they feel like they need to achieve success, whatever that is, like to feel like they're loved and to feel like worthy. So they're chasing this thing that's always eluding them, because they haven't kind of realised I am enough as I am. Like I'm worth, even if I don't do anything, I'm worthy of love. I'm this pure potential in a way. Like I don't really need to do anything to kind of validate myself in any way. And I think a lot of people chase these outward, signs of success to kind of validate themselves in some way, and often, fun enough, end up the areas that they chase success is in the areas where they're most insecure and that they're seeking like validation. But you'll never find it that way. So it's I kind of feel like, you know what, simplify your life. Know that you're enough. Like know that whatever your situation, you've been born with this, you this unlimited potential. You are enough. You don't have to do anything to be worthy of love. Right now you're free to now go and do what you want to do and express yourself in the ways you want. And I just think there's so many people that want to attach an amount of money or success in a job or whatever to their sense of worth, and it's your sense of worth is a given at birth, sort of thing. You don't need to go and achieve straight A's or go and get that top law job or whatever to validate your sense of worth and who you are. And if you think if you think that's what success is and what it's going to bring, it just won't. And again, not that they're not worthy goals to pursue, they absolutely can be, but yeah, like don't wrap it up in thinking that it's going to validate you in some way. But it's just a process to, like, I'm pursuing a worthy goal that's going to bring some fulfillment in my life. But that process is going to be a continuum. Like I'm not going to reach an end point with it. So therefore I need to make sure that every day I'm kind of enjoying the process, and kind of feel what I'm working towards is worthy in some way.
So I'm going to leave it with a question. So let us know, what does success mean to you? You've heard what it means to us. We don't think it's a destination. We think it's a journey. I personally feel more successful when I feel like I've helped people, and that's why I've pivoted my entire career towards teaching rather than just working for big corporations. But let us know what you think about success, and also let us know if you have any suggestions about other things we can talk about. We've got a whole long list that we're looking forward to chatting about, but we'd love to hear from you guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.